Welcome to the Game Dungeon. We are doing something different today, and I'm going to be recording my desktop screen. And we're talking about Nintendo consoles. I'm going to be giving my opinions on all the Nintendo consoles that I've played. There are probably a couple of consoles I haven't touched from Japan, or I think that's pretty much it. So I'm going to be starting from bottom up. So my least favorite to my most favorite. So starting with uh, the bottom of the barrel for me, we have the Nintendo 3DS. So here's the thing with the 3DS. I did not have one. And my brother got a red 2DS, this one like right here. This is the one he got there. I think it was an original model. And I did see it in GameStop and Walmart, and I thought the 3D was kind of cool, but I thought it was kind of gimmicky and kind of dumb because I missed out on a lot of dope games that I have been trying to catch up on in recent years. So primarily the reason it's at the bottom of my list is because I have least experience with it compared to every other console on the list. But what can I say about it? I only got one this past year, so I've had one for about a year and a half now. And I picked up Majora's Mask 3D, and I think that's the only three. No, there's a couple other games I have, but that's the primary one. I got Super Mario Land 3D. Thing is, actually, no, I didn't grab a 3DS. I have a 2DS. I have two different models of a 2DS. I have the you can see here. I've got this little kind of looks like a baby toy one, which I actually think is really cool and comfortable. I like this one a lot. It kind of reminds me of a Game Boy. And then I have the new 2DS XL, which I think is really cool. The whole problem with buying one of these um, is they're very expensive still. I mean, sometimes they're remarkably more expensive, I think, than they were at retail, which sucks. I wanted a new 3DS XL because I wanted to use the 3D functionality on some of the games. Really didn't feel like paying the 400 bucks I was finding for all of these and the ones that were brand new. I could buy it. I bought things that are for about the same price that are not really worth as much, but it never really, maybe it's something I'll do down the line. But I bought a 2D XL. I got it for a lot cheaper, like $150. And then I won a new 2DS on an auction for super cheap. And the 2DS XL, I love how it looks. I love how it's a good feel. It's a little flimsy though with the cover. And I actually have it right here. It's a nice console. I like the colors, but this right here is just a little flimsy. See that? That's kind of Not so much. Feels like it's gonna break. Shakes. It's wobbly, but otherwise, I like how it's got a really big screen. Uh, I didn't realize how big of the screen was, and until I had like picked up my DS like soon after this. I have had a DS a lot for a long time, but used my DS like immediately after playing this, and it's a good console. I actually like playing DS games on this. It kind of stretches them out, but the DS did the same thing I think on Game Boy games, which never really bothered me. It's a fun console. I like it. There's a lot of games on here that I want to play, so I'm glad I finally grabbed one. It's a good console. It's just not really my favorite on across the board. I've had minimal experience with this compared to everything else, and that's why it's in the bottom. Um, the era where it was out, it's just I wasn't buying portable games like that, handheld games. I was probably not playing a lot of video games at that time in general, besides Smash Brothers, Wii U. But it's a good console, just not my favorite. Next up is the Super Nintendo. And for those who are going to be watch this and think, what the hell? Why is Super Nintendo so low? It's another example of I didn't have it and I didn't play it. I had a Sega Genesis growing up. I was really, really young, so I wasn't old enough to be, I'm a Genesis fan or a Super Nintendo guy. I was like 3 years old. I was super young, 3 or 4 years old. But my parents got us a Sega Genesis. I loved the Sega Genesis. I never had a Super Nintendo. And the only people who did have a Super Nintendo was my cousins, and we went over and played it. I thought Super Mario World looked so cool. I thought it was like one of the coolest looking games. It looked so unique. It was so awesome looking. And it was always one of those games I really wanted to play, but I didn't have one. And I never got a Super Nintendo as a kid. And so it's lower on my list just because of it's got the least amount of playtime for me. However, I do have a Super Nintendo Classic. It's right here on my desktop, on my desk's top rather. And I actually really happy my wife got me that. I really wanted one, and she went out of her way to find one for me. So I'm so lucky to have her as a wife. Uh, and I've had a lot of good time actually playing some Super Nintendo games. And really, it's always funny to me how I grew up in this era. I was prime Super Nintendo age, that age group, and it's so foreign to me. Like these games, the way they sound, the way they feel. Using the bumpers, the Sega Genesis didn't have bumpers, so here's the Super Nintendo controller here. Using the bumpers on certain games just confounds me. I can't conceive playing a 2D platformer and using bumpers. So there's a lot of learning that I get as an adult playing older games that I should have known when I was that age. So I think it's hilarious. Super Nintendo, fantastic, impeccable. You don't need me, random guy, to tell you that. But it's lower on my list just because I didn't play it as much. I've definitely played it more than 3DS, and I've known about it for a lot longer. And I was definitely always interested in it. It's just didn't have it. It's a good console, uh, and that's where it ranks, second to last for me. Next up is Game Boy, and I have dropped something there. I have my Game Boy here. Need to get a new back for it. I really truly cherish this console. This is and I have a copy of Super Mario Land right there. So, I'm OG at I've always loved the Game Boy. And so everything I think moving forward is something I have a little more experience with. Game Boy, my sister, this is actually the one I'm pretty sure my grandpa bought my sister, and I remember her getting this for Christmas or something, and I just thought, holy crap, that is so cool. It is the coolest thing. And just hearing that, I don't know if you can hear it. The volume's low. No, there it is. It's greatest, one of the just most iconic soundtracks, and I'm here kind of fiddling with it. It doesn't have backlight. There's a lot of things I'm hearing complaints down the line, which are fair. Um, the lack of backlight, it's green. It is kind of hard to see unless you have light, but I don't know I guess I notice it more now. I had zero care about that when this came out. I just thought it was the coolest thing. And it allows you to play Super Mario like wherever you wanted to go. And I liked the cover art to the game. I always thought it was like, oh, Mario's in a new land. He's in the desert. Who are these people? I was a big nerd, and I liked the Mario kind of story and the characters, and I was always big on that. And so the Game Boy is a really good console. Just being able to go out and play this wherever you were, just it's I don't like to go too super nostalgic. Sometimes though, that little hint of nostalgia, cocaine hits you in the head, and you just think about the simpler times, being a kid growing up in the 90s. Even the 90s seems old, it's weird. You didn't think about that when you're a teenager or even my early 20s. I think now it's just like it's different. and off track and not really on subject, but so Game Boy kicks ass, and let's I guess it's variants. I never had a Game Boy Color. Game Boy was the only Game Boy I had, and to me, it was everything you needed. It's still everything I think you need in a portable console, besides a backlight. Um, but even if you have like a good, you have some of those accessories we had with the little lights to pop on top. It's a great console. The fact this thing just works so well, uh, 30 plus years later, it's older than me. Um, I think this came out in 90, right? Or 89. So it's older than me. Uh, it's a wonderful console, and it's just like the perfect complement to an NES. I wish I had a gray one, although I think the red one looks kind of badass, right? I think it looks badass, but it really you can't get better. It's got a good variety of games too. There's a lot of good Game Boy games that I own. Stuff I normally wouldn't play as an adult, like some basketball games or sports games, tennis games, Tetris, of course. It has such a good variety. It lasted forever. I mean, Game Boy was a household name because it just, number one, because it was so popular, but also because it was just there. It existed for so long. It existed through multiple, I think generations of gaming. It was up like almost, to the just before the GameCube is when they started to release the Game Boy Advance. So that's ridiculous. Game Boy kicks ass. So that's why it's there on my list. Um, let's see what we got next. N64. So my N64 is back there somewhere. Uh, N64 is cool. It's not my favorite by any means, even of its style and of its age. I didn't have an N64 growing up. You call me, I'm not even a real Nintendo fan. I didn't even own all these Nintendo consoles. But I had friends, and back in the day when you didn't have a console, you went to your buddy's house. So my friend, little brother Kevin had an N64, and we would play the shite out of other games, especially Super Smash Brothers, which I now own. I own all those games nowadays. Think as an adult, I have incomes, I can do that now. And N64 is just it has a fun way of playing. I know the controller looks weird, but it doesn't really feel weird playing it. I always hear that come up. I bring it up because I always hear it talked about. It's got the weird controller. What were they thinking? It works well. It's a perfectly functioning controller, and I think you instinctually know how to hold it. You don't hold it like a caveman. You hold it with like that, closer, your hands close together. Um, N64, I had a PlayStation, but I love the N64 a lot. And I was always a fan. And I remember the first time I saw the N64 is actually when I was a kindergarten, I think. So this is like 1995-ish. Um, and my buddy Paul Snyder had N64 and he had Super Mario 64. And it sounds so hackneyed, it sounds so unoriginal, but golly, when I saw that game, I literally was blown away. Uncanny how awesome that game looked and just running around I mean the first Bob-omb Fields, I'm pretty sure it's called, is my favorite stage of the game. It always will be because that's the first level I ever saw. Obviously it's the first level of the game, but first level I ever played, my buddy let me play it and just seeing King Bomb at the top, that's just to me, that's like a core memory. It will never go away. And down the line, it does look dated, but I still, the feeling of seeing that and it having never seen something like that before, it's kind of cool to have one of those experiences. And I'm thinking, damn, that is freaking cool. That is literally life-changing in terms of the way I view video games. So that's why it's higher on this list. It's not halfway to the list because I didn't own one, but it was always something super cool. As an adult, I've played a few games on it now that I had never played as a kid. Bomberman Hero was a really fun platformer. I could not beat the final boss though. Frick, that game it can get really hard the way the controls are and the way you fight bosses. And it's really unforgiving in terms of how much life it gives you to beat those things. So kind of a noob on that end. Of course, I played Smash Brothers more and more. Yoshi Story, I always want to play that, and I love the little art style of Yoshi Story. N64 just has so much character, and all its games have so much character and just like ultra Nintendo-ness. It's just so freaking cool. It's a cool era, um, of games that isn't really it is itself. It's distinctive itself. And it's always surprising to me as an adult to figure how poorly these consoles sell comparative to their competitors, right? I had a PlayStation, but I just thought it was hand in hand. You PlayStation, Nintendo 64, they're together. Eventually Dreamcast, and I had no idea. I don't know if I knew what a Saturn was. I think I knew what a Saturn was because I saw games for the Saturn, but I never knew anybody who owned a Saturn. Um, a Sega Saturn, that is. So yeah, that's the N64. So next up we have the Nintendo Wii. Wii is, and for me as an adult, I mean as a person, you can kind of tell I was Super Nintendo was a baby, and you know 3 or 4. N64 kindergarten up to like I don't know the second or third grade, fourth grade maybe. And so we're here on the Wii. I am a teenager in high school. Um, Came out in like 2007, so I'm midway through high school. And the Wii was the everyman's console. Everybody has a Wii. Both my grandparents still have their Wiis because everybody had a Wii. And I always think that's so cool that it was so popular that literally everyone got one. People who weren't traditionally people who played video games. So I always give the Wii the props on that end. That being said, it was not my favorite era of Nintendo, but it had some really good games that I played a lot. Super Smash Brothers Brawl, or as my friend called it, Super Smash Brothers Melee Brawl, which is Super Smash Bros. Melee, and then we just threw the word Brawl at the end. And I was super hyped to see all the new characters. I loved going on the Smash Dojo website for that game and just seeing all the new characters and seeing Sonic in that game. I played the crap out of that game until the Wii version came out. Then I never touched it again. And I'm trying to change that, but I can't find a copy of that game for some reason. But I played a boatload of Super Smash Bros. Melee Brawl. There's some other games too. Let's see. I've just been sharing the 2DS, so let's put Nintendo Wii games. I've completely forgot I was sharing my screen. Oh yeah, here it is. That's so funny. Tatsunoko versus Capcom, one of the best fighting games ever. It's so freaking simple, so it made me feel like a pro. But it is such a fun game. I would always get blisters on my thumb. My buddy Chris had a copy on his hacked Wii. And I thought it was a Japanese only game, but at least it did come out in the States. Burned the crap out of my thumbs because I'd just freaking be grinding the hell out of the controller to play it. Mario Kart Wii is not my favorite because I don't like motion controls playing it, but it was cool. It's very novel having a little the driving peripheral piece of plastic and just it's like a good game. It's a good game objectively. I always surprised when I look back at it how uh polygonal it looks. I don't remember it looking that many polygons. But I guess you're just not really thinking about that at the time. Of course, Super Smash Brothers, I already said. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword, I really liked. I played it kind of later in the Wii's lifetime, though, near its end, actually. I don't remember when that game came out, like 2010-ish. So maybe I played it when it was fresh, but I was not a huge fan of the motion controls, but it didn't really dissuade me that much. There's only a couple times where I was kind of annoyed by it. But it's a really fun game and it got me hooked. I remember playing and beating uh, Skyward Sword during one of the Super Bowls. And I didn't want to watch Super Bowl and play Skyward Sword. So it's a good game. Rayman Origins was fun. I didn't really own that game, or maybe I did. But I remember playing a demo of it and thought it was really fun. And so it was a good game. What else we got here? Reminding me of games I played. Super Mario Brothers Wii. New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Awesome. Uh, I never really considered, or maybe I did, how kind of remarkable it was. It was a brand new era. I remember New Super Mario Brothers on DS, especially, but New Super Mario Bros. Wii I played a lot. I think I beat that game, or it was the Wii U version. But it was a good game, and good Mario game. I was not into Mario Galaxy. I played it. I played a lot of Mario Galaxy, but it is my least favorite Mario, like main title Mario. Yee. This, and I found out much later that it's not a shared sentiment by many. But it is a good game. It's just not my favorite. I don't really like the motion controls. I don't like the themes. I don't like being in space for Mario. That's just me, but I did like the introduction of Rosalina and all those characters and stuff like that. So, it's a good game. I'm not gonna say it's a bad game. It's just not my favorite game. Um, what else we got? Um, what do we got here? Oh, Super Paper Mario. Hell, I'm so glad I brought this. This is one of my favorite Paper Marios. Love the story. I didn't beat it. I got close, but it's such a fun game. I really was a big fan of the GameCube version game before it, and so this is a really good follow-up. Took out all the RPG elements, but I don't know. It was kind of balanced bad again. It was not fun, awesome that way, but I think they made it really fun, so it wasn't too big of an issue for me. Yeah, so the Wii was fun, but then the only problem with the Wii is that it had so much crap game. Like, let me just look at this. Not all these games. Some of these are really good games, but a lot of shovelware, a lot of, not core games that were just thrown on the Wii. That to me really defines the Wii after a while. And I kind of started playing, um, you know, other types of games, 360, eventually PS3, down the line. And so the Wii is not my favorite era, and it was definitely not my favorite console of that era. Uh, I would give that probably to 360, when Microsoft actually gave a crap about making games, and good games for their things, but that's not here and there. So I give the Wii. It's literally I think in the middle of the list, so it's pretty good. All right, Nintendo DS goes up next. DS was dope. I was that age where it was really, it hit um, you know, it was for me. I was that prime age. I think it was let's see, it came out 2004, so I was 12 or 13. No, 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 that's not true. No, yeah, yeah, I was 12 or 13. So I'm glad I could find this press report for the DS coming out. Um, the games I will always remember for the DS, especially is Super Mario Brothers 64 DS, and uh, I got my DSs here. Unfortunately, this does not work because it is broken. This is the one issue with the original DS models. This was so susceptible to happening. I feel maybe it's just me, but it happened to mine. And it's got can get power, but you cannot see the screen, unfortunately. It's such a stinker because it's blocky, but I love this design. I love the silver, clamshell of the original DS. Um, playing through 64 DS, it is my favorite version of Super Mario 64. Sorry, because you can play Luigi, and Luigi's number one. Uh, just in case you didn't know where I stood. Uh, it has a great load of games, and the many iterations of it are great. I have my DSi, which was the my 18th birthday present, and I still have photographs from that era of my life. Graduation present from high school. So you can see, I mean, it started out when I was barely about to leave middle school and up until I left high school, even though this is not the end of the DS lifetime, but it was kind of ending around that time. DS games, let's see. Metro, I love this little Metroid Prime game that came with it. This little like it was like a small little sample game. Um There's a lot of fun games. I didn't play like all of the the core hits, like all the Zelda ones I missed out on. I did play not this, but Mario and Luigi Partners in Time. I think I have Bowser's Inside Story and I just haven't played it, which God, I need to do that because I love the Mario and Luigi series. I have no idea why I didn't play it. Um, a lot of shovelware on DS, but it was just like a next Game Boy. And Game Boy had everything, every crazy, and I didn't talk about how Game Boy had like all sorts of licensed games from all sorts of types of movies and stuff. And, some of them are going to be, shit games, but it's just something kind of cool about that it just has everything. Let's see. I do have Pokemon Diamond, which I had replayed recently. I can never get too far in this game. I always stop, but it's a good, really good Pokemon game. What else here? Of course, there's Mario Kart DS, great game. Super Mario Brothers, loved this game as well. These were really fun games, especially Mario Kart DS. Played that a lot. Um, what else? What else? What else we got here? There's a lot that maybe I didn't play too many games thinking about it now, but I have a lot. Oh, you know what? Kingdom Hearts 3 whatever over 2 days. I have like 5 copies of that for some reason. And I like that game a lot. I'm a big Kingdom Hearts fan, so I finally got to play one of the extra PS2 games, and that was really the only one. And I'm glad I got to play Roxas' story because Roxas kicks ass. What else? That's really all to say. It was just a better game. Well, I wouldn't say it's better because but it was just a really good portable console game. It has a lot of uh, uh, look at that battery. I didn't charge this in forever. It's on. It's got a lot of character to it. And you can see. I don't know if you can catch that old photograph of me from 2009, just messing around with that. Um, I didn't use any of the online features on this thing, but the DS, uh, favorite of mine. Coming up on the top, that was number 5 in the top 5. Next up is Game Boy Advance, which I separated from Game Boy because I think it's distinct enough. I mean, obviously, it's a different console. Uh, and this is right around, I guess, the GameCube era. This is my SP. It's not my original SP. I had a red one back in the day, and somehow it was stolen. I have no idea who took it, but this is the one me and my brother we shared all our consoles back then, and someone took it, and I hope they enjoyed it. But we stopped playing Game Boy Advance SP at that time. I do have an original Advance too, but I always like the SP best. I like the red one best just because I like the color. But I hear that this one has the better backlight. I found that out in recent times, but aesthetically pleasing, I like the red better. What games do we have? Oh man, so many. I played Pokemon, Ruby, a little bit of Ruby, but I did play all silver on that, even though it was a Game Boy Color game. GBA could backwards compatible. Sonic Advance 2, Super Mario Luigi Superstar Saga. Boom. So played so much of this game. This changed one of my, the way I did comic books as a kid, my little comedy. I still say Fink Rat instead of Rat Fink. One of the bad guys says that all the time. Super Mario Kart Super Circuit. I still play that game sometimes. I think it's my favorite Mario Kart. It's simple. It's based on Super Mario Kart, but it's got that Super Mario Kart 64 look to it. I always wanted these Super Mario Brother games. I never had them. Super Mario World. I finally do have a copy of this now as an adult, but as a kid, I wanted this so much. I thought it looked so cool. I loved Super Mario Brothers 2 and 3, but especially 2, and the fact they remade it with voice acting. I was so sad that I just never got a copy. Same thing with Mega Man Advance. I'm sorry, not Mega Man Advance. What is it? Mega Man. What the frick does it say there? It's not Mega Man Zero. It's Mega Man. Battle Circuit. Mega Man Battle Circuit, right? Um, okay, now I have to look that up. Battle Network. Okay. What a noob. Battle Network. And I always wanted that game. My buddy had that game. I finally did get the Switch port of it, the combination port. I actually bought all of them on Wii U too, stupidly right before that too. So I have original versions of them too, on the Virtual Console. But I did finally pick those up, and I always did want to play them on GBA because they just so cool. It just epitomizes that's the 2D kind of Super Nintendo, but different, like it just better, slightly better looking, or maybe worse sometimes, but it had that really cool portability, colorful pop. That was the GBA, just color pop. Um, Mario Party Advance. I love this game. Mario Party Advance is so fun. Just the 2D sprites playing those games. You're playing by yourself. It's a Mario Party by yourself, pretty much. I don't know. I should have multiplayer, but it had some good times. I got every mini game. I put a lot of hours in that game. Sonic Advance 2. I had Sonic Advance 2, which is one of my favorite Sonic Advance games, or really Sonic games in general, especially 2D Sonics. Um, I love the art style. Came out around that Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Adventure era, so it has that attitude, it has all those characters, which I think is like the best versions of Sonic. Mid 2010 Sonic and early mid 2000s, late 2010s, late 2000s Sonic is kind of the bad era. So this is like right before that kind of downhill for a period. I always wanted that F-Zero game because there was an F-Zero TV show. Golden Sun, I had always wanted to play. I did pick it up on Wii U later. But Golden Sun, super dope game. A lot of these games I didn't get to play as a kid because you can't just go and buy everything as a kid. You get it for birthday presents or stuff like that. But I actually did get some of these as an adult. Advance Wars, so many memories, so many hours of my buddies just flipping over a single copy of Advance Wars, playing multiplayer on a single GBA. You could just choose a base, you put 3 or 4 players, and we make our turns, throw it to the other guy. And there was a function where parts of the map were shaded or darkened off so you couldn't see it. And so you would just be playing on that on the bus. And I remember they called us nerds, and the 2 girls called us nerds, and we're big dorks. But that was one of my favorite games, and I've wanted to pick up the Switch version of the game. Although I don't know if it'll be the same experience because it was so much fun to play with my friends. Um, what else? Man, there's just so many good games on GBA, and it makes me want to buy the Nintendo Online, but I don't really want to pay a subscription fee at all to anybody. So I bought a lot of them on the Wii U Virtual Console. Uh, and so, oh my gosh, I just realized I skipped the Wii U. So that's might say something about that console. We'll go back to that in a second. But yeah, GBA just had so much variety, so many games. I played this Goku game, I think once I rented it at Blockbuster. It was a Goku game, like a Goku RPG. GBA kicks ass. I think it's just it goes without saying. Connecting to the GameCube via the link cable. There's games like the Tingle Tuner on Wind Waker, where you could have some compatibility there. I always wanted this Game Boy right here. I always wanted the NES Game Boy. I saw it in Nintendo Power, and I always wanted a copy of that. Okay, going back, Wii U it was after Wii, so before lower than Nintendo DS, but above Wii is Wii U. So Wii U, super cool console. It was technically my brother's, but he never played it, so I kind of just nicked it, and I'll pass it to him whenever he wants it. But I did love Smash Wii U. It's one of my favorite versions of Smash, which led into Smash Ultimate. Truly, I think it was just kind of a lead up to that game. Um, let's go here, Wii U. I think Wii U had like kind of like the smallest library in terms of games that I liked, but the games that I did like, I liked a lot. They just had this really good character. But look, there's another problem with the Wii U is just like the Wii, it has a lot of crappy shovelware games. Look, I would none of these games I would buy and get or get. But the good titles were great titles. There it is, core right there, Smash Wii U, dope ass game. Super Mario Maker was a great game, although I didn't really play it that much. I did have some fun. Captain Toad, one of my favorite games ever. I love this game. I love the art of this game. I love Captain Toad. So Nintendo, just great. Always wanted Splatoon, but I never got it until the Switch version, so I never played that. Um, I did buy Legend of Zelda Wind Waker for the Wii U, but I have it on digital. I wanted a physical, but it was so costly. I just had to get digital for personal personal choice there. Um, what else did the Wii U have? Super Mario Brothers Wii U and the Ouija Wii U. So you had to hold the Ouija game to yourself. That was one of the big ones. Super Mario 3D World is a dope game. I played that a lot with my wife and beat the hell out of that game. It's a fun multiplayer 3D Mario. Kind of like it was the closest we could get to like a core Mario that was multiplayer. That was like the dream of me and my brothers to have a core Mario that you could be Mario and Luigi. Doesn't have that same feel. It's not that kind of game. It's more like a 3D, 2D Mario, but it was still multiplayer and it was still a lot of fun. Um, what else? Breath of the Wild was not a Wii U game for me. It was a Switch game. Mario Kart 8, super fun. Just a really phenomenal Mario Kart, and it became Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So, uh, great games on Wii U. And one of the best parts of the Wii U was not just its own titles, but it was the Virtual Console for Wii U. Virtual Console for Wii U, I think, was one of the coolest things ever. I loved going in there and just scrolling all the games and just seeing what I wanted, seeing what I couldn't afford. At that time, I could just blow all my money on these little games. But before they closed off and before all of that was destroyed, sadly, I did make a lot of purchases and I bought a lot of games that I wanted. Not necessarily Wii U games, but I bought GBA games, I bought N64 games, Super Nintendo games, games not even for Nintendo consoles like TurboGrafx 64, all these cool little varieties that you had so many, you had Sega, I think, and TurboGrafx. Like you can't, and it's impossible for me to find an authentic TurboGrafx where I live at least. So to have that option was really cool. Oh, plus you had the Amiibos. This was the introduction of the Amiibo era, and although it is kind of cash grabby, is better than I think its competitors. And I loved the Smash Brothers Wii amiibos, and I actually bought some amiibos for the first time forever in Nintendo New York. I got a Sora, and I think I got Kazuya. No, Captain Falcon. Captain Falcon. So I think the amiibos are dope, and I always like the functionality. I still use it in. I even used it in Tears of the Kingdom for Legend of Zelda on Switch. Um, Sublime Console, unfortunately, was just not that. Oh, Star Fox Zero. I don't care what anybody says. That game is freaking great. This is a good game. I will admit, very difficult controls at points, and there is a learning curve, but just a straight up dope Star Fox experience. I never really had the Star Fox experience. My first Star Fox games were the untraditional ones like Star Fox Adventures and Star Fox Assault. So to play, and I love Star Fox Assault better than more this game, to be clear. But to play a traditional Star Fox, it's just Star Fox in beautiful looking HD. It's a good game. It's fun. Hard controls sometimes, but it's a fun game. And Miyamoto kicked ass. And all the marketing with the puppets in that game, I love that. Loved this era of marketing in the Wii U era. It was just really cute and Nintendo-y, and it was sick. Okay, moving on. NES is next. What can you say about the OG, the original, the one and only? It changed my life, honestly. My grandma had an NES and my parents got an NES. Our NES was like shuttered for some reason, and I found it years later, years later, like within the past 5 years or so. Fixed it up, fixed all the connections, and now I have a working NES. And man, I can't count for how many hours, how much, and it's not just by yourself playing these games, it's with family. The NES will always remind me of family. It's just you, your brother, your sisters, just playing some funny games and messing around on a Wild Gunman or uh, uh, excited by in Donkey Kong. This is my favorite version of Donkey Kong more than the arcade. I always thought this was the original, but of course I found out later it's a port. Super Mario 1 through 3. 2 is my favorite. 2 is the best. I have a copy of Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest that I have to play through, but its battery pack still works. Uh, it's just a phenomenal console. It is iconic. I can't really add more than what what's already known here. It is what it is. It's the best in terms of I think being iconic and having a diverse variety of games. Um, but to be honest, it's a game I know a console I like to play with other people more than playing by myself. There's occasional times where I will blow through some NES games just for fun. It's like a pick up and play kind of situation. You're not there for to be there for a few hours. You're there to play for, 30 minutes, maybe to an hour, maybe. But more likely you're there to play with family, play some multiplayer games with family. And it has some great games. I mean, the original Legend of Zelda is one of my favorite games in the entire world. I love the music. I love the story. Just like learning it through fighting bosses and finding all these mysterious things. The gold cart of it, naming yourself Zelda, and you I think that's where you unlock the harder version. I had my grandma had this, the Advantage, the Max. So I don't know where they are now, but she did have these at the point. So we get to play with these super controllers a few times when I was growing up. Just some good old Nintendo. I have this for Wii U, the NES Remix, which I love to play too and that's on Wii U, the one I have, and it brings me back, and it also really just kind of creates some fun Nintendo nostalgia there. Maniac Mansion is a super fun game. It's a PC game, which I found out later in life. A lot of stuff I found out later in life. But this game was always fun trying to figure out what to do and always getting captured by these creepy bad guys. I never got far in this game, but it was fun. Um, what else? Just good games. I mean, honestly, just a lot of shitty games, as we know by the angry video game nerd, but damn it, the good games were good games. And I'd spend more time, but I don't know how long this video is going. Okay, top two. What's next? GameCube. The GameCube is my like childhood console, like that prime video game playing era console. Um, Around the age of 12, 13-ish, you're there with your buddies, you're starting to find your little identity, and man, accompanying that is some of the best games Nintendo ever released. On one of the coolest consoles they ever made, despite the fact that it didn't apparently sell too well comparatively, but how do you get to beat the PS2, the best-selling console of all time, right? Um, every one of these games, pretty much, I played, and I love. Melee was the one that brought us all together. Everybody I knew wanted to be a badass in Melee. Melee, the adventure mode, the trophies, it taught me so much about Nintendo history. It opened the door to what like Nintendo could be, and all in the internet was just barely, starting to be really accessible for me and a lot of people, and finding out more about these characters on the internet and AOL. It's probably maybe a little bit after AOL, but it's pretty close to that era. Um, and just I started drawing comic books about this. This was what a lot of my, creativity stuff started kind of popping because of games like this. Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes is my favorite version to play of the original Metal Gear Solid. I'm sorry. I have the original on PS1. I love the way Twin Snakes plays and the way it looks. This got me to love the MGS series. Metal Gear Solid, Twin Snakes, so good. I've replayed it out the wazoo. A lot of these games I've replayed so many times. I got Paper Mario as well. I'm so glad they released on Switch, so now like, people aren't trying to sell this game for $9,000. It's so stupid. Um, One of the best RPGs ever made. Definitely the best Paper Mario game, I would say. Mario Sunshine. I remember pre-order. It's the first game we ever pre-ordered. My brother wanted to pre-order it. I wanted to pre-order it. It's the first game I ever pre-ordered, and one of the few games I ever did that in my life. And we put $5 down at Target, and we got a copy of Mario Sunshine, which we loved how it connected a little bit to Luigi's Mansion, one of my favorite games ever, featuring my number one Italian plumber brother. Uh, EGAD kind of being subtly referenced here, and some of the Game Boy Advance games too. I love how EGAD was this kind of breakout character in this era. My buddy had this game, Resident Evil. I was a little bitch, so I couldn't play Resident Evil 4, but phenomenal game. All the Mario parties, I really like 4 and 5. 6 and 7 didn't play too much. I thought 7 came on Wii, but Mario Party 4 and 5 especially. I played Mario Party 4 one time an entire night. We didn't go to sleep, and one of my buddies threw up. I had a horrible headache. I think I threw up too. Um, Mario Kart Double Dash. I think one of the best Mario Karts ever. I think it's definitely better. I think it's more fun like than Deluxe, but I think Deluxe is kind of objectively a better game. But I think it's my more creativity. Pikmin. I have this game, tried it so many times. I need to beat it. I need to knock this notch down already because I've had it forever. I have a couple Pikmin games now on Switch, the remakes. Oh God, there's just so many good games on this console. Kirby Air Ride is so freaking. This is my first Kirby game, really. I played some of the Game Boy games briefly, but this is my first real Kirby game. Sonic Heroes, Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, remade. Oh God, I think I had Budokai on GameCube, so harnessing the key moment when DBZ was really starting to blow up across the world. I had that Crash Bandicoot game too, but it was not that good. Oh man, I could just go on forever just about the GameCube because it was so influential on my life at that time. Warrior World. Um, and frankly, I think it has the most diverse, creative, like different trying games compared to any other console. A lot of games nowadays play it safe, and the Wii was kind of all motion control. The N64 was just burgeoning into 3D. I think GameCube found its stride in trying so many different things, so many different ways of playing. Wind Waker, just the art style. Coliseum, Pokemon Coliseum was my favorite Pokemon game, next to Pokemon Silver. Uh, it's the first, I think, full adventure Pokemon game on a console. So, and took years and years later before it became kind of the standard. So many variety. My favorite Zelda game, Twilight Princess, the best Zelda game, came out on Wii technically, but the GameCube was obviously the better version. GameCube version forever on that. Um, just so many freaking amazing games. Mario Party 4. Um, I think it's so interesting. It's the license. Let's check out the licensed games too. I mean, the licensed games on GameCube were awesome. Tack, and before it became a cartoon show, it was a video game. I thought that was so cool. And Tack 2 was really good. I rented that game. Fairly Odd Parents breaking the rules. This was a fun, fun, fun game. And so is SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. That was remade because it was so damn good. It was so influential. It even got remade, which I think I still have this, but or maybe I GameStop it. I might have done that. Ugh. Both of these licensed games. It's so sad. Tac 2. Licensed games for GameCube were pretty sick. Tac 3 was really fun too. You get to play little, I forget his name, but he's a little mental dude, like a lunk. So it goes, that's I miss that, but there's some of these games I would say are not that great. Obviously, some of these are bad, but I think some of these are some of the best games in terms of a licensed game being on a console or any video game console. These are some of the core good ones. Um, yeah, Tales of Symphonia. I finally got to play on Switch. Some of these RPGs on Switch, the GameCube. I never got to try, but I always did. Baten Kaitos. Finally played that years later on original GameCube. It was a lot of fun. I don't know if me at that age would have been able to beat it, but definitely beat it as an adult. Uh, man, Custom Robo. Oh, there's just so many games. You get to kind of tell which games I could just name off the top of my head, and GameCube is one I can definitely say. Now, what's number one? I'm gonna have to go with Switch, Nintendo Switch, and there's a reason why. I think The Nintendo Switch wins number one because it has produced so many good games constantly, and it's in this current era where there's a lot of scrutiny that they've released bad games. Let me be clear, it's not like everyone's a winner, but there's so much variety on Switch outside of even Nintendo publishing digital games too, which I'm not super big fan of just pure digital games, but it's good. You know, they can't, I mean, they're good games. What can you say? Um, so many good games, so much variety, and Nintendo has been pushing it out for since 2017, so a pretty long time, a long era of this console. This console has existed, and I can say there's a lot of games I probably wouldn't touch, but there's so many games I have, and there are more that I want to try that I'm probably not going to for many years because there's just so much on Switch. Um, and it's one of the I think it's almost the best selling console, definitely the best selling in the US. And I do give that to COVID a little bit for Animal Crossing, and which was a fun game. Oh, this will always be a COVID game to me. But Breath of the Wild, I did not play this. I played this on Wii U. What else we have here? Uh, Tears of the Kingdom is such a good game. Both Legend of Zelda games, two core Legend of Zelda games on one console, both of which are really, really freaking good, really creative. A lot of replayability if I had time to be replaying games. A lot of Pokemon games that I want to try kind of, but there's so many of them, it's a little like off-putting. One of the best Smash Brothers. Next to Melee, this is the best Smash Brothers of it is such a good game. I put so many hours into that game. You could just have a Switch for just Smash for goodness sakes. Took me forever, but I played Mario Odyssey. It's the best Mario 3D main title I've ever played. It beat Sunshine. I didn't expect it to beat Mario Sunshine, but it did. It is so fucking well made. It is so good. And god damn, I was just like, geez, this is how good a Mario game could be. God damn, how did I miss this? Splatoon 2 I had a lot of fun with. I haven't touched Splatoon 3, but I love the Splatoon universe. I love those characters. Sonic, not Forces, but the Sonic Frontiers, which came out recently. Such a fun game. It's not just on Nintendo Switch, but I think when I think Sonic, I think it should be on the Nintendo. So I played it on Nintendo Switch. Um, what else? I mean, you have Nintendo on Switch Online, which is just one of the best bang for your buck subscription models you can play. Especially when it first came out, it was so cheap. It's still pretty cheap compared to the competition, and you get honestly, you could just not buy games and just play the entire library of Nintendo Switch Online, and you'd be set for like I think the entire life of the Switch. If it started in 2017 with all those games, you'd probably still be playing those games 7 years later. Really good Mario Kart, obviously best-selling game on the Switch than Mario Kart. What else? Luigi's Mansion 3, which came out on Halloween. I love this title. It's so much fun. I always try to play a little bit during Halloween. I beat it as fast as I could, as I fucking love. It was so much fun. See, Mario Party's fun. It's not my favorite Mario Party. There are more Mario Parties which I have to try, but it was a decent fun game. Um, what else? I mean, there's still more games coming out on Switch. Battle Network Legacy Collection was a really fun one. I enjoyed. Um, you know, it Dragon Quest 11, I think it was, or 12. It was 11 or 12. The remake or the updated version of it. Not remake, it was the updated version of it. Dragon Quest 3 remake, which I want to play. God, it's just there's a lot and it's high quality. It's accessible. You can play it wherever you want to. I don't have to just be in the game dungeon to actually play it, which is really convenient when I want to spend time with my wife and she wants me in the room, but I want to play a video game. And boom, the Switch is there. Takes me there, and I'm all set. So, what can I say in summation? I probably haven't said enough about the Switch, but I think this is running on a little long. I think Nintendo is just of all the game companies, Sony's pretty close, but Sony has some skeeviness that of recent years that I don't really like. I think it's the number one game company, game publisher. I'm really excited for what the Switch 2 is going to bring. Uh, I hope the Switch 2 is just a prettier version of games on the Switch because the Switch was so good. I honestly have no complaints with the Switch. I never had Joy-Con drifts. I never had any of those issues. I have the same Switch I got from 2017. It works perfectly. I got expanded. It took me forever to have to get an SD card to get extra memory in there because I don't know, the games are so small on Switch. It doesn't require that much data. At least the core games. There's some games that do, I think. Um, but it's fantastic console, fantastic, portable, so unique, so Nintendo, thinking outside the box. They always just do things differently. Sometimes it costs them, like the Wii U, which I still thought was cool to have the secondary little screen. To me, that's just innovation. That's attempting something new. Innovation through motion controls, dope control. The GameCube is the best controller of all time. I will not play Smash Bros. Without the game controller. This is just so ingrained in my mind at this point. They invented the D-pad for God's sake. These are my opinions. So this is just my opinion on Nintendo and their consoles. All of these consoles, I think, are sublime. To be clear, none of them is a bad console. I don't think any console is a bad console. Um, and they haven't done that. It's not like Microsoft, which God, God, jeez Louise. I'm so sad for that. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about Nintendo. So this is the Game Dungeons ranking from least favorite to most favorite, but they're all my favorite Nintendo consoles. Thank you. And um, we'll see you in the next one. Oh, I meant to do this. Now we stop recording.